And by taking over each county, what do? We finally end up taking over the state. It's inevitable.
So the ONC Act covers a lot of counties, right? And so does it require,
18.
That, like if just Jackson and Josephine County wanted to have the cojones to do this, what would happen to the other states?
They'd follow suit.
Well,
Eventually they would follow suit because they would be putting their, see, the county doesn't make any money on this. This is all done by private industry. The county contracts it out.
Right, right.
That's why we need the private industry to educate itself, because they're the ones that are going to make the profit.
County government.
Right, but what I'm saying is, ONC, it's a patchwork of ONC land.
ONC,
okay?
it's 18 counties.
Right, but a portion of that goes to each of the 18 counties.
Right.
So if one county or two counties, I'm just trying to get it clear in my head. If one county or two counties or three counties or just even one decides, you know what, we're sick of this, we're going to go in the forest. We'll let you know how you're doing. Where the rest of you counties can do whatever you want to do. Well, where do they start cutting trees? Anywhere in the
Anywhere within their county borders.
Oh, anywhere within their county borders.
Correct.
If you look at the ONC Act, and this is what I presented to them, it states specifically what they're to do. The timber-dependent counties are supposed to receive every year so much board feet.
Right, I know.
Under health, safety, and welfare, they can go in and they can log that.
Between the ONC and the Northwest Forest Plan, okay, which we were working very well back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, okay, until the environmentalists found the loophole which came in under FLPMA,
right.
okay? Then everything changed and went to you-know-where in a handbasket, okay? So again, not about environment, it's about money, okay? It's about control. So any county that does this plan, just like in Apache, the surrounding counties aren't doing the same thing. And they have had water rights shut down. They have had dams threatened. They've had their forests basically shut down and other public lands. And they're finally sick of it. Federal government.
You mean the surrounding counties?
Right, because they're still following the federal plans.
Yep, and in the meantime, they've whittled down the safety net to nearly nothing.
Correct.
Given it to states on the East Coast, no less.
But also you have to take into consideration when FLPMA came in, the federal government decided they would stop selling the land. Now, in order to keep us on equal footing, the land was supposed to be sold privately. 15% of that came to the state for schools. Then the states could tax the private owners. They've stopped selling it. Yeah. And that's what Utah bill, that's what they're basing their equal rights or their statehood on, is getting that land back so that they can sell it to private ownership.
Yeah.
You know,
Am I mistaken now, but isn't this ONC stuff a big part of why counties in California, Northern California, have agreed to pull out of California and
Siskiyou
form
County,
the state of Jefferson?
Siskiyou County is the only one to do that so far, but there are rumblings from other counties where they're going to secede from the state.
But ONC lands are part of the reasons behind it.
Oh, absolutely.
Federal forest lands, yes.
And BLM and Interior, because several of them have to deal so much with
I'm a big fan of
Interior.
that movement.
See, right now, under the community wildfire protection plans, the sheriff is responsible for ingress and egress for emergency situations on every road. And it states quite clearly what's to be done. 300 feet back on each side of each road is to be logged and cleaned. And then in the wildlife urban interface, depending on the topography, up to 3 miles. Do you know how many years worth of work that would be in this county alone, just doing the roads? Why aren't they being done? Right now, I have
miles of county roads.
I have coming to me right now 10 hazardous fuel load plans that have not been worked in this county. I want to know how many of those were in either of the 2 fires that we've had, or where are they and why aren't they being worked?
Yeah. And
that's the responsibility
of
our county commissioners.
Yeah. I think that if we can't get Oregon and Salem to go along with it, then by all means, we have the right and the authority to pull out and form an entirely another state.
Well, California has to get permission from the governor and their legislature to do that.
Siskiyou
Really?
has to get permission.
Siskiyou.
Okay.
How does it become about permission?
Well, I don't understand that
I
part
know.
of it, but.
Let's say, in Jackson County, just because I live there. In Jackson County, they have, of the ONC lands, they get, 12% or something, based on our population and what have you, they're supposed to get, say, 12%. I don't know what the percentage is. But there's actually 18% of the total ONC lands exist in Jackson County. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they would be able to go in and do at least 12%. Is that what I'm hearing, or? Because
Oh, no, they could do whatever and however much, as long as they stayed within the current guidelines as far as the ONC, the Northwest Forest Plan, the FLTMA, and everything else, okay? And they followed all of the current environmental regulations on the books, which really opens it way up.
So
It's much more than the 18%.
or whatever, I don't know what the numbers are, but because I know that the ONC lands are kind of a patchwork quilt, so it may not be that the exact amount that is due Jackson County actually exists in Jackson County.
Okay, well, here's the other thing. We get a narrow view of things, okay? So it's not just ONC, understand that. It's also BLM lands, okay? And private lands, okay?
Right.
Now, private individuals, if the county decides, okay, and through the negotiation, that the way that the whole permitting process is working, which is absolutely insane, okay, and against private property rights, and in violation thereof, they can open it up that far if they want to.
I'm not following. They can open what up?
In other words, private property owners now don't have to pay thousands of dollars, okay, and buy 6(8) permits in order to manage their own lands for the timber and the minerals. Yeah. So it depends on how far your county is willing to go and what they're willing to do. They have the authority to take it back to what laws are currently on the books. We're not asking them to rewrite laws. We're not asking them to not enforce current ones on the books. We're asking them to enforce everything that's on the books and use it to their benefit within their county.
So what you're saying is all of this kind of just goes back to one basic thing. They keep, just as an individual, they keep thinking instead of thinking of themselves as we the people, and they keep thinking of themselves as an administrative statute, entity, statutory creature, instead of a independent, sovereign.
Yes,
Government.
yes, under health, safety, and welfare.
So it all kind of
Protecting
boils
the
down to that
economy
one
for the citizens.
concept.
It's understanding their proper place, authority, and jurisdiction as a state entity government locally for the people. Like I say, they have all the same power and authority that the state does under statehood within their county's borders. But they got to be willing to fight the fight. If they are, they will win every single time.
And believe
But
me,
it's fear and lack of knowledge and understanding that keeps them from moving forward.
Yeah, because I talked to a county commissioner, and he said that his oath, or actually he came and talked to one of our meetings, he said he has to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
And to enforce state laws.
and all the statutes,
Okay.
and the administrative law.
I know.
And I'm thinking, isn't that a conflict right there?
No, it's not. And hang on here. Again, this is where our narrow thinking comes in, okay? That oath is very specifically written. What is their first and foremost obligation and responsibility, their first and foremost duty in that oath?
The Constitution of the United States.
And anything contradictory to it They have the ability to make null and void within their
So
county.
they have to understand whether or not a regulation, an administrative rule, or a statute is unconstitutional.
And from what you said earlier, administrative rule is more for corporations and that sort of thing. Is that what I understand?
Correct,
But that's also the courts too.
yes.
Well,
So
they're
it's-
kind of throwing it over on the public, or on the private sector.
Right, and that's why we go back to, it's so important to elect an official who understands and is willing to fight the fight.